All right, let's dive in today. We're talking about functional fitness.
Okay.
And we've got some great material that you've sent over. And I'm really excited to kind of get into this because, it seems like it's everywhere. Everyone's talking about functional fitness these days, but what does it actually mean? Like, what's the difference between this and, just going to the gym and doing bicep curls or, whatever you might normally do?
Absolutely.
So maybe let's start with, what is the basic concept of functional fitness?
Well, it's funny you should say bicep curls because functional fitness is all about moving away from those isolated exercises. It's about looking at how your body moves as a whole in your everyday life.
Okay.
So think about it. You squat down to pick something up. You bend to grab your keys. You lift those grocery bags. You push open a heavy door. You might even pull yourself up from the floor if you need to.
Yeah.
These are all functional movements. And functional fitness essentially trains your body to perform these actions more effectively and safely.
So it's not just about looking good. It's really about moving.
Exactly.
Well, and being able to do the things you need to do in your life.
Absolutely.
So instead of, like you said, isolating just a bicep, you're looking at, that whole movement.
Like a whole system.
Of like squatting down to pick up the groceries.
Precisely.
Okay, so I like this example of the bicep curl because a lot of people are familiar with that. So in a functional fitness approach, how would that exercise be modified or changed?
So instead of just standing there curling a dumbbell up and down.
Right.
Which, let's be honest, isn't something you do very often in real life.
Yeah, no, not really.
You might incorporate that bicep curl into a squat to press movement.
Okay.
So you squat down as if you're picking something up.
Right.
And as you stand up, you press the weight, maybe a dumbbell, or even just your hands together.
Okay.
Straight overhead. So you're essentially mimicking that action of lifting something from a low shelf.
Okay.
And placing it overhead, engaging your legs, your core, and your shoulders, all in one fluid movement.
So that's much more like how we move in real life.
Exactly.
And I can see how that would translate to, actually carrying groceries or picking up kids or
think about
all sorts of things that we do.
Putting a suitcase in an overhead compartment on a plane.
Yes.
You're using those same muscle groups in that same coordinated way.
Right. So it's kind of like instead of just training for the gym, you're training for life.
Exactly. You're training for your life.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And one thing that really jumped out at me from the research you sent over is this idea that functional fitness can actually help to prevent injuries.
It's one of the major benefits.
Yeah. How so? Like, how does that work?
Well, by strengthening those movement patterns that we use every day, you're essentially making your body more resilient and less susceptible to those strains and sprains.
Right.
That can happen when you're, say, lifting something heavy awkwardly or, twisting suddenly to catch something that's falling.
Right.
So it's not just about strength. It's about coordination, balance, and control.
Okay. So it's like you're training your body to move more efficiently and safely so that you're less likely to get hurt.
Less likely to get hurt,
And that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Because I know that a lot of people, myself included, will do something as simple as like bend over to pick something up and suddenly we've thrown our back out or
it happens all the time.
We've twisted the wrong way and hurt our knee. It's like these are movements that we do all the time.
All the time.
But if we're not moving properly,
even more vulnerable.
Yeah, we're much more likely to get injured.
Absolutely. And that's where functional fitness comes in.
Okay, so it's kind of like building a foundation of strength.
It is,
and stability so that you can handle those everyday movements without putting yourself at risk.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about what functional fitness is.
Yes.
We've talked about some of the benefits, but why is it suddenly so popular?
That's a great question, and it's something that's really interesting to me as well.
Yeah.
I think there are a few factors at play here.
Okay.
One is, as we've touched on, this growing awareness that fitness isn't just about aesthetics anymore.
Right.
It's not just about how you look in a swimsuit or how much weight you can lift at the gym.
Right.
It's about how you feel in your body, how you move through the world, how you're able to do the things that are important to you.
Okay. So it's more holistic.
Much more holistic.
Yeah.
And I think that resonates with a lot of people, especially as we age and our priorities shift.
Yeah, I can see that.
When you're younger, you might be more focused on looking a certain way. But as you get older, you start to realize that being able to move freely and without pain is actually much more valuable.
Yeah. It's funny how your perspective changes.
It really does.
Over time, like you said, when you're younger, you're thinking about, how do I look in a bathing suit?
Exactly.
But then as you get older, you're like, wait a minute, I just want to be able to get up off the floor or
pick up my grandkids.
Yeah, pick up my grandkids without throwing my back out. Exactly. So I think that's a big part of it.
I think so too.
And I also think the pandemic probably played a role as well.
Absolutely. That's another key factor.
Because so many people were stuck at home.
Working from home.
Yeah, working from home, sitting at their desks, maybe not moving as much as they normally would.
And realizing just how much that lack of movement was affecting them.
Right, and how important it is to be able to move well.
Exactly.
And to have that strength and flexibility.
And that resilience that we've been talking about.
So I think all of those things kind of came together.
It's a convergence of factors that really pushed functional fitness to the forefront.
Okay, so it's not just a fad.
No, I don't think so.
It's something that's really addressing.
It's a shift in how we think about fitness.
Yeah.
And what's important for our overall well-being.
Okay, so we talked about the what and the why.
We have.
Now let's talk about the how.
Let's do it.
What are the actual benefits that someone can expect to see from incorporating functional fitness into their routine?
Well, as we've discussed, there's the injury prevention aspect, which is huge, especially as we get older.
Right.
But beyond that, you can expect to see improvements in your overall strength.
Okay.
Particularly for those everyday activities we've been talking about.
Okay.
So things like carrying groceries, lifting heavy objects, playing with your kids or grandkids, all of that will become easier and less strenuous.
So you'll actually feel stronger.
Yes, you'll feel the difference.
Okay.
You'll also likely notice improvements in your balance and coordination.
Okay.
Which, again, is crucial for preventing falls and maintaining independence as we age.
Right.
Functional fitness also helps to improve your posture.
Okay.
Because it strengthens the muscles that support your spine.
Right.
And it encourages you to move with proper alignment.
Okay.
And then there's the flexibility and mobility aspect, which is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially if they sit for long periods of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Functional movements often involve taking your joints through a full range of motion.
Right.
Which helps to keep those joints lubricated.
Okay.
And improves your overall flexibility.
Okay, so less stiffness.
Less stiffness, yes. And finally, functional fitness is very time efficient.
Okay.
Because you're working multiple muscle groups at once.
Right.
You can get a really good workout in a shorter amount of time.
So it's perfect for people who are busy.
Absolutely. And you don't need a lot of fancy equipment either.
Yeah. Okay, so it's accessible.
Very accessible.
All right, so this all sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling inspired. But for someone who's listening to this and thinking, okay, I want to try this, where do I start?
Great question. And it's actually simpler than you might think.
Okay.
You can incorporate functional movements into your everyday life right now.
Okay.
Just by being mindful of how you move.
Okay. Like, give me an example.
So for instance, when you bend down to pick something up, instead of just rounding your back, hinge at your hips and keep your back straight, like we talked about with the deadlift.
Yeah.
That's a functional movement.
Okay.
When you stand up from a chair.
Yeah.
Engage your core and use your leg muscles to push yourself up rather than just relying on your back.
Okay. These are small changes.
Right.
But they can make a big difference over time.
Okay, so it's about being more aware of how you're moving.
Exactly.
And making those small adjustments
precisely
to make those movements more functional. You got it.
Okay, so now I'm really curious to actually try a functional fitness workout.
Okay.
Can you walk us through a simple routine?
Sure, I can do that.
That someone could do at home, even if they don't have a lot of equipment.
Absolutely. Let's do a quick warm-up first.
Okay.
Just to get those joints moving and the muscles ready.
Okay.
We'll start with some arm circles.
Okay.
Forward and backward, just to loosen up the shoulders.
Okay.
Then we'll do some leg swings side to side.
Okay.
To get the hips and hamstrings moving.
Okay.
And we'll finish with some torso twists.
Okay.
To activate the core.
Okay.
A few minutes of that should be enough to get us warmed up.
All right, so now for the actual workout.
Yes, now for the fun part.
What are we going to do?
Okay, so for the workout itself, we're going to focus on 5 key exercises.
Okay.
That target those fundamental movement patterns we've been talking about.
Okay.
First up, we have the squat to press.
All right.
Which we discussed earlier. Remember to keep your back straight, core engaged, and press those weights overhead as you stand up.
Okay.
We'll aim for 12 repetitions of those.
Okay.
Next, we have lunges with rotation.
Okay.
So you step forward into a lunge position.
Right.
And then twist your upper body towards the front leg.
Okay.
Again, keeping that core nice and tight.
Right.
We'll do 10 repetitions on each side.
Okay.
Third exercise is the plank with arm lift.
Okay.
So you're in a plank position,
right,
holding your body in a straight line. And then you lift one arm straight out in front of you, hold it for a second, and then lower it back down.
Okay.
Again, core engagement is key here to keep those hips from sagging. We'll do 8 repetitions on each side.
Okay.
Fourth exercise is deadlifts.
Oh.
And remember, form is paramount here.
Yeah.
Back straight, hinge at the hips, and lift those weights up using your glutes and hamstrings.
Right.
We'll aim for 12 repetitions of these.
All right.
And finally, we'll finish with the farmer's carry. So grab those weights, hold them at your sides, and walk for 30 seconds, maintaining good posture.
Okay.
Chest up, shoulders back, core engaged. This is a great exercise for building grip strength and overall endurance.
Okay, so that's one round.
That's one round.
And how many rounds would you recommend?
For beginners, I would say start with 2 rounds.
Okay.
And then as you get stronger, you can gradually increase to 3 or even 4 rounds.
All right. And what about a cool down?
Absolutely. We don't want to skip the cool down.
Right.
So after you've completed your rounds, take a few minutes to stretch those major muscle groups.
Okay.
Hamstrings, quads, glutes, back, shoulders. Hold each stretch for about 20 to 30 seconds.
Right.
And focus on deep, relaxing breaths.
Okay.
This will help to reduce muscle soreness and improve flexibility.
Okay. So that whole routine, warm up, workout, and cool down should take about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, give or take depending on how long you hold those stretches.
Right.
But it's definitely something you can fit into even a busy schedule.
Okay. And it doesn't require a lot of equipment.
No, not at all.
Like you said, you could use water bottles or cans of food or,
absolutely,
whatever you have around the house.
Be creative.
Yeah.
Use what you've got.
So that's really encouraging for people who might be intimidated by the idea of starting a new fitness routine.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive.
Not at all.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
And I'm feeling really energized and excited about this whole concept of functional fitness.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
But before we wrap up, what's your most important piece of advice for someone who's completely new to this and wants to give it a try?
My biggest piece of advice is to start slowly and focus on proper form.
Okay.
Don't try to do too much too soon.
Right.
And don't worry about lifting heavy weights right away.
Right.
It's much more important to master those movement patterns and to build a solid foundation of strength and stability.
Right.
So listen to your body.
Yeah.
Don't push yourself too hard. And if you're ever unsure about how to do an exercise correctly, don't hesitate to seek guidance from a qualified trainer or physical therapist.
Okay. Great advice.
Thank you.
So it's really about prioritizing quality over quantity.
Exactly. It's about moving well, not just moving a lot.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Move well, not just move a lot.
That's it.
I think that's a great takeaway.
It is.
Dr. Maria, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
Sharing your expertise with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
This has been such a helpful deep dive into functional fitness.
I'm glad you found it helpful.
Now for our listeners who want to learn more and connect with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Maria Confit.
Okay, we'll be sure to include that in the show notes. And do you have a website as well?
I do. It's drmariacon.com.
Perfect. We'll include that as well.
Wonderful.
And for everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this deep dive and you want to hear more, please consider subscribing to the show.
Yes.
And if you have a moment, leaving a review really helps other people find us.
It does. Thank you.
And as always, feel free to share this episode with anyone who you think might benefit from it.
Spread the word.
All right, Dr. Maria.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Stay well.
Stay well.
And keep moving.
Keep moving.
And as you go about your day today, I want you to think about how you can incorporate just 1 or 2 of these functional movement principles into your routine.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything major.
Small changes.
Just small adjustments to how you move.
Make a big difference.
That can make a big difference in how you feel.
Absolutely.
And how you move.
You got it.
All right, that's all for today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks again, Dr. Maria.
Take care.
Bye.